Welcome to Nothing But Net. Debbie Antonelli, along with the head coach from Duquesne, Dan Burt. Dan, in your 10th year as the head coach, I'm so glad to see you. How's it going?
Things are well. We just got off of the road late last night and came away with a victory against St. Bonaventure.
Yeah, so you brought it up. Let's not lose the top line here. Are you kidding me, man? 20 triples in a game? Come on.
Yeah, last year when we played at St. Bonaventure, we had set the school record with 19, and we knew that we were going to play well yesterday, but we didn't expect to break that record the very next year. And 23 pointers in a game. Things were flowing like water, and the kids had a great game and really enjoyed themselves.
That is the definition of shoot till your arm falls off, for sure. I mean, I'm excited to have a chance to spend time with you today, particularly after the night that your team had. I mean, 20 triples. I know some teams at the D1 level that can't make 20 triples without defense in 40 minutes. I mean, that's just amazing what you were able to do. So tell us what it was like. Like, are they coming in a barrage of threes? Are they coming in transition? Give us a breakdown.
Basically immediately from the moment the game started, I believe we made our first 7, and mostly out of transition. We didn't run a whole lot of sets yesterday. They did not find us well in transition, so we got a lot of good looks there. But we've got Tess Myers, who's a sophomore here from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and she's one of the better three-point shooters in the country. And Amaya Hamilton, who's our starting 4. Also had an unbelievable game with shooting the ball. I believe she was 4 for 6 from the 3-point line. And, just about everyone on the team except 1 or 2 players that could play. We were a little shorthanded yesterday. One of our better 3-point shooters, Lauren Wisloslin, a transfer from Xavier, actually is one of the ones who didn't have a triple. But as you go down the roster of available players, most everyone made one yesterday, including our walk-on. Which was great to see.
Awesome.
And not at the end of the game either. She played in the second quarter and the third quarter and in the fourth, and Singo was able to get one there. I believe it was early in the third.
My platform is about offense, right? I see the game through an offensive lens. I want teams to be better shooters. I love the fact that you have that many 3-point threats on your team. When you're putting your game plan together against different opponents in the A10, and there's some really good teams in the A10, so I know there'll be some other teams that will guard you in transition. When you're moving the ball and you're playing like that, that can't be a better validation for your system than what you witnessed last night, is it?
We've shot the ball pretty well all year. Not quite up to the standard of what we had expected this season. And a reason for that is we don't really have a lot of downhill drivers. And so people have been able to crowd us and use their athleticism to force us to take more contested shots than what we would normally like. We've tried to address that area in a number of ways. And I think it's one reason why we're 16-10 as opposed to maybe 19-7. We've lost a couple close games where we didn't shoot the 3 quite as well. But when we go out into the recruiting world, the ability to shoot the 3 is incredibly important, especially from our post players.
Where does your offensive philosophy stem from, Dan? You've been around the game for a while. You've been around a lot of different influences in your life around how you want to play and what you like to run. Who would you say are a couple of people that have had the greatest influence on what you do offensively?
Our former assistant, Matt Schmidt, had run our offense. He was our offensive coordinator. We're a little bit different. We have offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators. And Matt, who's now working in administration, was a very good offensive coordinator. My old college coach, Jim Crutchfield, who's sort of become a mythical legend in college basketball, led West Liberty State to one of the best records over his career. Now he's at No Southeastern with the men's team, and they play a unique style. And Kim Stevens, who just won the Division II national championship at Glenville State College this past season, she has adapted that style. I really enjoy the way that those teams play, which is fast, oftentimes with a line change in and out after 45 seconds, and they really emphasize the 3. It's not a Grinnell system. It's more closely related to Loyola Marymount. It's something that I really enjoy. We haven't quite adapted that totally. We don't have the roster to do that. But those are people that I really take a lot of enjoyment from watching the game and learning from. But obviously, what Steve Nash did with Coach there with 7 seconds or less suns also, we try to shoot it early and often. We just like it to go in a little bit more.
I love that style. Did you give the offensive coordinator the day off after that performance?
No, we have a couple scholarships to fill in the transfer portal, and so we'll be right at it. At 11 a.m., we actually have a meeting with a young lady. Our offensive coordinator right now is Vanessa Abel, and Vanessa played for us at Duquesne, and she's a young woman who's a bright star in the women's coaching world. Vanessa was an All-Atlantic 10 player before going to play professionally overseas at the Euro Cup level. And we really think really highly of what her future is going to be. And, you know, she's destined to be a head coach soon. Last night, she called a terrific game. We also put a set or two in that allowed us to have some isolation plays for Maya Hamilton. And she's done a really good job in her first year as our offensive coordinator.
Well, I wrote her name down because, you know, I quite often get asked who's up and coming and who are the next. And so I love that Vanessa's somebody I'm going to be checking out. Okay, so Dan, you know what, Pittsburgh, I know you sit right there on the corner next to Pitt, and you got such a great hotbed of basketball in that area. I can't let you go without talking about the McConnell family, Megan McConnell in particular, who is your point guard, who I love, who can score and dish, but she also seems to be your best rebounder. How many times have you had a team with your rebounder is your point guard that does get you in transition so quickly?
You know, it kind of stems. Our previous point guard before Meg actually was very similar, Libby Basilak, and Libby was an outstanding player in high school in Ohio with their 3 or 4 state titles, and was our point guard here and rebounded in a very similar way. Meg has taken that mantle and run with it. Obviously, she's from the first family of basketball here in Pittsburgh with her aunt Susie, who I had the fortune of working with here at Duquesne, and followed her with her over to Pitt for a couple of weeks before I returned to Duquesne to be the head coach. But, you know, Meg's father is someone that trained her brother, TJ, who's with the Pacers at the NBA. And her father's someone that I grew up watching as a fan as a young boy when he played for an NAIA powerhouse in Waynesburg College. And so I've known the McConnells forever. And from Susie and Kathy to Tommy and Timbo, all of them have stamped their influence on Meg. But Meg is really her own person, the way she plays the game. And, you know, she does have that McConnell IQ. She seems to know where the ball is one pass ahead, whether that's when she's looking for steals or rebounding the ball. And I think next year she's going to be one of the best point guards in the country. Last night, she was near a triple-double with 8 rebounds, 7 assists. I think she had 11 or 12 points, and she had a couple steals also. And that's in about 20 minutes of playing time. Again, wow. I think she'll be one of the best point guards in the country next year.
That is Caitlin Clark-like numbers, if you don't mind me saying, in 20 minutes. That's pretty fantastic. That's the first thing that jumped off the page to me about your team is obviously you have a McConnell and that she's a point guard who rebounds. Susie, for the longest time, as you know, had the NCAA record for the most triple doubles in the history of the game until a lady named Sabrina Ionescu came around. And now we've got Caitlin Clark coming up right behind her. So, you know, have you been to Sunday dinner at the McConnells? Because it's kind of on my bucket list. I'm just wondering what that's like if you've done that.
No, never done anything like that. We see a lot of each other in the stands after the games, and we see each other at various gyms across the city. And, you know, Tom, who kind of got this all started, the oldest brother of Susie and Timbo, Tom was a great player, and he just recently retired from being the head coach at IUP, an elite Division II program. And Tom's grandson and my son actually played AAU basketball together. So we may not break bread at dinner on Sunday, but we see each other quite a bit.
You know what, Dan, if you get the invite on Sunday, bring me with you, because I've been asking for a long time to go, and I haven't had a chance to get there. So I actually haven't gotten the invite, but I'm sure they wouldn't mind me sitting at the table talking point guard with them, because that's something that I love to do. All right, about your son. I have three boys. My youngest son's a D2 point guard at a small school called Emory and Henry in the SAC, and he's having an incredible experience. When I go to watch him play, I say nothing. I sit, I watch, I make no body language reference to what's happening, and I just try to keep my mouth shut. How do you handle going to your son's games?
I am the exact same. It's a situation where my son is a fifth grader, and you don't want to project fifth graders, but he's a very talented young man, and he has the gift. My wife was a professional player. She's from overseas, from Hungary, and that's actually where my wife and children are right now. My wife's father was 6'9", 6'10", and her uncle was 7 feet tall. So, I always tell people, if you win the genetic lottery, that's the first step. And my son may have done that because he is taller and faster and jumps higher than the other kids. But the second thing is you have to love the process. And that's hard to do when you're in the fifth grade. He certainly loves the jerseys and the shoes. He likes the process, but I'm one that doesn't say a word. I'm very stoic during his practices and his games because I do coach him a lot. My wife is a little bit different, however, so that I can preserve my marriage. I'll just say that she's a little different than I am.
I don't even like sometimes sitting next to my husband. I hate to say that because he wants to talk to me, and I know it's going to lead me to doing something that I don't want anybody to see me doing.
We don't sit next to each other, Debbie.
I love it. I get it. I 100% get it. Okay, so look, this A10 race is something, man. I mean, it is good. That league is good. The quality of players, the coaches. It's a multiple bid league, many years. How do you see the league shaping up this year?
Well, obviously UMass and Rhode Island are the two front runners in the league, and Fordham is right there with them with their experience. You have all three teams that have a lot of experience. For us, we did not play well for 40 minutes against UMass or against Fordham. We played well for about 30, 35 minutes. Against Rhode Island, we were down almost the entire game, but we got the lead with 3 minutes to go, and then we could not hold on to the lead. We feel like we can play with anyone within the league, but Rhode Island and UMass really are at the head of the league, and then a Fordham team that has been really well coached by a rookie head coach. They have been outstanding. They're veteran, they're experienced, they're older kids, and they really understand and accept their roles. They're really connected. I feel like what George Washington has done underneath Caroline McCombs has been really good. I think she's done a great job of coaching her team. And you really, once you get past Rhode Island and UMass, anyone can beat anyone. The Richmonds, the Duquesnes, the Davidsons, and I know I'm leaving LaSalle, and I'm probably leaving a few others out. We're all kind of bunched up in there. And I would not be surprised that when we get to the conference tournament in Delaware, that we have a surprise ending. Whether that's Duquesne or LaSalle or George Washington or Richmond. I do believe that UMass and Rhode Island are at the head of the class, but it's going to take an awfully strong, valiant effort from both of those clubs to win the thing because there is such depth.
Way to sell some tickets, Dan. That is exactly what the fans want to hear, right? Exactly. Okay, so the last thing I want to ask you is this week, Debbie Richardson announced that she's retiring from the A10, and you've given a long service to our game. Debbie certainly has. She's been a member of the committee. She's been a part of the A10 staff under Bernie McGlade for decades. Debbie is somebody that everyone in the game knows and appreciates her service. What would you say, because you're the first person I've had a chance to talk to since she's announced her retirement, about her legacy in the A10 and what she's done for women's basketball?
I've been in Division I basketball for 25 years, and I think I've known Debbie for all 25 years. And she's one of the first people that I actually remember meeting in my first coaching job. And whether that was at West Virginia as an assistant, or was it as an assistant here at Duquesne, to becoming the head coach here over the last 10 years, the thing that stands out about Debbie to me more than anything is her kindness. Debbie is one of the kindest human beings I've ever met, and I'm going to miss her a lot. I really enjoy our conversations. I think Debbie's a great woman, and I'm wishing her the very best in retirement. And I don't know what retirement means for her, because I can't see Debbie without basketball being in her life. And I hope whatever she decides to do, that she'll stay connected to her friends in the game, and that she'll enjoy her next chapter.
I have no doubt. And I also believe she'll be sitting at the 50-yard line for the A10 tournament from now until forever. So I want to thank you, Dan, for your time. Congratulations on your success so far. What a great day to do the podcast with Dan Burt on the day after 23s on the game. That is so fantastic. I love it. Shoot till your arm falls off, Dan Burt.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on, and I got to go worry about trying to beat Richmond now. League's tough.